Well, land's sakes, Dr. Haggard, I thought you never would get back. How's Miss Jordan?
Fine. It's a boy, 8 pounds, 3 ounces.
Oh, that's lovely. Only you look kind of washed out. Seems like babies is always getting you up in the middle of the night, don't it? But I think it's wonderful.
What's wonderful?
Oh, being a doctor and bringing all that comfort and happiness into the world.
Is Haggard still in the dining room?
Yeah, she's finishing her breakfast. I'll get you some fresh coffee.
You better hurry. I've got another call to make.
Any mail?
Only bills.
Did the Jordans pay you?
No.
Last 2 babies not paid for, and now another one. Beats all, don't it, Milton? You're too easy on them.
Plum forgot. Telegram come for you this morning.
Thank you.
I tell him cash on the line or no more babies. Maybe that'd put a damper on them.
Well, from New York. An admirer of the late Christopher Bean will do himself the honor of calling on you at noon on Thursday. Maxwell Davenport.
Oh, that's so.
Poor old drunken Chris Bean. Why, I haven't thought of him in years.
I wish you wouldn't speak of him so.
Well, what did I say?
Every time his name is mentioned, somebody's got to refer to his drinking.
Well, he did, didn't he?
Maybe so. Sure, Chris Bean took a drink now and then. It's because he was so sad and he didn't feel like such a failure when he had a drink in him.
Abby, now that you're leaving, don't you think you ought to go upstairs and get packed?
I just as soon you didn't talk about my leaving, Dr. Haggard, if you got no objections.
Well, facts is facts. You are leaving.
Yes, I am, and you know I don't want to go.
Well, if you feel so bad about leaving Abby, why won't you stay?
Because it's the will of God.
First time I ever heard of the will of God sending a woman off to live in Chicago.
It couldn't be nothing less that had my poor brother's wife take sick and die and leave him with 4 little ones and no woman in the house. You know, it wouldn't be my way to will a thing like that.
Well, we won't go over that again. We'll save our tears till it's time for you to take the train.
Oh, Abby, I'll help you with the dishes.
I've been meaning to talk to you, Milton, about that terrible Model T of ours. Now, I've been looking at the new 1932 Chevys.
Well, I'm afraid that's all you're going to do. Just look. And while we're at it, since Abby's leaving us, don't you think we could do without a maid for a while?
And have everybody say that your practice had fallen off to the point where you can't even afford help.
I don't care what people say.
Well, I do. And I'm not a bit sorry to see Abby go. She ain't got a mite of style or dash about her. I want a real city maid that can answer the doorbell proper.
There's only one way to answer a doorbell. Just open the door.
Besides, you don't even care if your daughter's married or not.
What's answering doorbells got to do with getting our daughter married?
I mean, you don't want Susan and I to go to Florida. Why, you just soon she hung around here and maybe run off with that worthless Rowan Creamer.
You don't have to go to Florida to get Susan married.
Well, maybe not, but the opportunities down there are exceptional.
Oh, stuff and nonsense.
No, it ain't, Milton. Why, them Miami beaches are just alive with boys that don't give a thought to nothing but romance and getting married.
Most boys get those ideas any place.
Not in New England in the wintertime.
Well, if winter comes, spring can't be far behind.
What are you bringing me out here for?
You'll see.
I got my packing to do.
Oh, what's the matter, Abby? What's come over you?
For a minute, I thought Chris Bean was back.
We just wanted to surprise you. War and painting and all.
Oh, I think it's nice.
Come and see what he's done already.
What do you want to paint a dead squirrel for, Warren?
Live one wouldn't hold still.
Oh. Guess that's what you'd call a still life.
Oh, Abby.
Sorry. So you want to be a real artist, huh, Warren?
I sure do. And I'll be a good one, too.
Abby, you ain't got nothing against artists, have you?
Oh, not me, no. But you got a long, hard road to travel, Warren.
Yeah, but I figure it's worth it.
What do you folks think?
Well, they make fun of me when I paint. Mother wants me to work with Pa in the hardware store. Says it's secure.
Maybe they got something there.
But I want him to be an artist, so I said he could use the barn. I'm going to wait for him, too, Abby, no matter how long it takes.
Abby, tell us more about Chris Bean. What he painted, how he did it. You know, I like everything I seen of his.
That makes 2 of us.
But me, too, Abby. Especially the one of you scraping carrots.
He did pretty good with that one, considering the subject he had. Who in the world but Chris Bean would have wanted to paint a picture of me? And scraping carrots, no less. Oh, I can remember as though it were yesterday, sitting out here in the barn with him and the sun streaming through and the smell of the hay. You know what he used to do, Warren?
No.
Sometimes he didn't use the brush at all. Just stuck his thumb right in the paint, and then he'd go like this and like this and like this.
Dr. Haggett?
Yes, that's me.
I'm here on a strange mission, Dr. Haggett.
What's that?
The payment of a sacred debt I owe you.
I've never seen you before.
True, but I'm here regarding my dear friend, Christopher Bean.
Oh, Chris Bean. Come inside.
Thank you.
I got your wire.
Wire?
Yes.
May I see it?
Of course.
They never seem to get messages straight.
Let me have your hat and coat.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yes, I forgot I said noon. It took me less time to get here than I thought.
Mm-hmm. So you say that you're an admirer of the late Chris Bean.
That's putting it mildly, Dr. Haggett.
Well, now, I'm wondering if your Chris Bean is the same man I knew.
Oh, I'm certain.
Well, I don't know now. Like my wife said about this telegram, she can't see what he found to admire in Chris Bean. Did the fellow you're talking about call himself a painter?
You might put it that way.
Yeah, well, then I guess that's the same man. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. Poor old Chris.
You know, we used to humor Chris about his pictures. Of course, you've got to humor folks who are as sick as he was.
I know you did everything you could for him.
Well, I hope I did my duty by him. But, you know, this is no climate for a sick man. He should have got himself out west. And, of course, he should have given up drinking, too. But as it was, I did as much as I could.
We're all mortal, Doctor.
Yes, you can say that again.
We're all mortal, Doctor. Poor Chris, gone but not forgotten.
But those pictures of his, though, they were just not good.
The reason I came here, Dr. Haggett, is that in going through some letters a few days ago, I came across one in which Chris spoke of your kindness to him, and he asked if I couldn't help him pay what he owed you.
Poor Chris Bean. Never had a penny to his name. Forever borrowing. Didn't even own a hat.
I believe the sum came to $100, and I figured out the interest, too. There you are.
$100 was in interest, too.
It's only fair, and all my apologies for keeping you waiting so long. I was strapped at the time myself. Now I shall go home a happier man.
Wait a minute. I must fetch Mrs. Haggett. She'll never believe this. Grace. Oh, Grace.
I didn't know we had visitors in here.
You must be Abby.
Well, yeah, but I don't remember seeing you around here before.
This is the first time I've ever been here.
How'd you know my name, then?
Mind reader.
I'll finish up in here later.
Grace, I want you to meet Mr. Davenport of New York City, my wife.
How to do?
Very pleased, Mrs. Haggett, very pleased.
Well, it's very nice of you to pay Chris Bean's debt.
I see nothing unusual in what I've done.
You ain't tried collecting doctor's bills these days.
Chris meant a great deal to me. By the way, I was wondering if he didn't leave some of his paintings with you. They'd have a special sentimental value for me. You can understand.
Oh, of course.
Then if you have any, do you think I might take them away with me? His letter mentioned 6 or 7 he left here.
Oh, there was all of that.
Well, there's one right over there.
September morn?
Oh, no, that's my picture. No, if Chris had tried his hand at something like that, he might have got someplace.
What did you mean there was one right there, Mrs. Haggett?
Well, that picture got loose, so I simply used one of Chris Bean's as a backing for it. I got this at an auction sale for $3. And you're welcome to it, Mr. Davenport.
Well, this is very nice of you. Careful
There we are.
Please, Mrs. Haggett.
New England winter, he calls it. Looks gaudy to me.
Yes, but as I said, it's of sentimental value. Do you have any more?
You mean you'd want more than one?
Yes, matter of fact, Chris had many friends in New York. I think some of them might be willing to pay as much as $50 for a souvenir of their friend.
$50?
What?
I'm sure of it. They were all as fond of him as I was.
$50? Milton, I think there's one in the chicken house.
In the chicken house?
Oh, yes. Of course, I don't know what kind of condition it's in.
Nevertheless, I'd like to have it, no matter what condition it's in.
Well, you know what chickens are.
Milton, don't argue. If Mr. Davenport wants it, we're going to get it for him.
Yeah, I remember now. There was a leak in the roof. Yes, I was looking for something watertight, and I found this picture. Fine, solid, thick oil paint. As I say, there wasn't any reason to set much store by the painting.
Now, it couldn't be in too bad condition, tacked high up like that. We'll get at it with a soap and scrubbing brush, maybe a little pumice stone.
No, that won't be necessary.
Shucks, won't be no trouble.
I mean, I'd rather clean it myself.
Here we are.
Careful, Doctor, you might tear it.
Let's see. Yes, well, it's a little weather-stained, but none the worse.
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
Why, that's that old schoolhouse up the river. Why do you want to paint anything as ugly as that?
Yes, I'd be most happy to give you $50 for this. Sure you haven't any others around?
Milton, the barn.
Huh?
He used to putter out there. Why don't we have a look through those old stalls?
Yes, by all means, let's have a look.
Well, I do declare, what's going on here?
Oh, Mother, isn't it wonderful? Warren's doing a sketch of me.
Warren Creamer, you got no earthly business painting in here. You take up your trash and go on home and stay away from Susan.
Mrs. Haggett, I have no intention of staying away from Susan. You might as well know right now, Susan and I are getting married.
Susan ain't going to marry no Warren Creamer. My daughter isn't going to waste herself on a deadbeat of an artist.
Mrs. Haggett, I'm the best bet for marriage in the whole county. I'm going far, and Susan's going with me. I guess she's old enough to make up her own mind.
Now, Grace, what will Mr. Davenport think? Have you forgotten that we came in here to find a picture for him?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Davenport. But you know how children are.
Oh, Susan, this is Mr. Davenport of New York, a friend of Chris Bean's. He very kindly paid me what Chris Bean owes me, and now he wants to take a few of his pictures away as souvenirs.
There used to be loads of them.
Used to be.
Yeah, used to be. But last spring, Ma was cleaning out the barn, and I remember she burned lots of things.
Burned.
Burned?
Well, what are you up to?
Hello, Abby. I want to talk to you if you can spare a moment.
What about?
I want to thank you.
What are you thanking me for?
For being kind once to a friend of mine, for giving him things that other women denied him. You gave him all the good things that have no name, the warm, tender things that he so sorely needed.
What do you know about me?
Only what he told me. Except for you, I was the best friend he ever had.
Used to talk a lot about a Bert Davis, but I never heard of you before.
I'm Bert Davis.
Well, if you're Bert Davis, what did you call yourself Davenport for on the telegram?
Davenport's my professional name. I needed a name that people could remember. You look exactly as I expected you to, Abby. Only younger and prettier. And I knew your name, too. Don't forget that.
That's right.
Chris was fond of you.
He was the only man that ever took me serious and talked to me. So you're Bert Davis. What a lot of things that name brings back. Oh, that's Miss Haggett back from the market. You better go.
I'd like to talk to you some more.
Well, I usually go for a walk right after supper down by the water.
I'll be there.
Oh, thought I heard your Ma.
Ma's still at the market, ain't she?
Yeah, but that don't mean she might not come in any minute.
Gee, Abby, what are we going to do? Mrs. Haggett's ordered me off the place, and now I can't see Susan anymore.
Looks to me like you've been doing more than seeing her.
Oh, but it ain't right. We have to meet in secret.
Right or wrong, you better get out of here. I don't want to get mixed up in this my last day.
Abby, have a heart.
I got a heart, Warren, and I know just what you're going through. But you better get out of here. You're only making matters worse.
All right, all right. See you later, Susan.
Bye. You've never been in love, Abby.
It's gonna work out all right, Susan. Always does when two people are in love. Bert Davis. My, don't that name stir up a lot of memories.
What kind of memories?
Oh, this and that.
Chris wrote me that you were the only one who liked his paintings and encouraged him.
Oh, yes, I liked his paintings. I don't deny I have to learn to like them, but he taught me.
Aren't you cold, Abby?
Oh, me, no. Oh, Chris and me used to sit on this bench for hours, just talking.
You say he taught you things. Like what? I'd be interested to hear if you remember.
Oh, I remember all right. It was mostly things to see. Like the rust color the marshes get this time of year when the sky gets the color of an old blue platter. That's cobalt blue. That's a painting term. My favorite color, cobalt blue. Did you know that brick houses aren't really red at all, that they're mostly green and brown? And that, well, snow and moonlight, they're not white at all. There are a lot of different colors all mixed up. Oh, yeah, and elm trees. They're prettiest when they've lost their leaves. He taught me all that, just imagine.
Did he leave you very much to remember him by?
I just now told you.
Yes, I was thinking of more substantial things.
Substantial like what?
I guess our memories are the most substantial things we have. They're the only things no one can take away from us. Still, there are other kinds. Souvenirs.
I think you're right about memories. I mean, nobody can take them away from us, but suppose we take them away from the place where they belong. Won't they feel kind of left behind?
I shouldn't worry. You'll carry your memories with you wherever you go.
But I won't see the brick house or the covered bridge or the hill pasture. Not any of them.
The places he liked to paint.
I used to take him out hot coffee when he was painting.
And you knitted a sweater for him.
Did he tell you about that
You
sweater?
must know he'd have written me about that. I was his closest friend. He made sketches of you, didn't he?
Oh, yes. But I could show you something much better than that.
Oh, and what would that be?
He painted a picture of me, life-size. Been hanging over my bed all these years.
Would you like to sell it?
Oh, I wouldn't sell anything of his, Mr. Davis.
Not to a stranger, Abby. Of course you wouldn't. But to his best friend, in memory of him and of the old days?
Oh, I'd have to think a long time before I'd part with it.
No, Abby. Don't make a decision now. But if nothing else, I certainly would like to see a portrait Chris painted of you.
Oh, I'd love to show it to you. I was real pretty once, you know.
Yes, Dr. Haggett, it is indeed a sad mission which brings me to your home. And in a small way, I'm easing my conscience. I have computed a total of $160. Please accept my check for the sum.
I thank you, sir.
Oh, don't mention it. I shall go back to New York feeling...
A happier man.
You take the words out of my mouth, Dr. Haggett.
Well, now, Mr. Dupre, there's a question occurs to me that I'd like to ask you.
Oh, don't hesitate, Dr. Haggett. Anything.
Are you, by any chance, on the point of inquiring as to whether I have something in the way of pictures your dear friend left behind which you could take away as souvenirs?
Now that you mention it, I would be interested in any paintings that you might have. Not as a gift, mind you. I would be willing to pay $1,000 for the lot.
$1,000? How do you know they're worth that much without having seen them?
By a fortunate coincidence, I was able to purchase from Bert Davis 2 of Bean's original paintings. I think I know what I'm talking about.
$1,000. Yesterday, I gave one away. I sold another one for $50. That's all we could find.
What? Well, you've been swindled.
You don't have to tell me that.
But how on earth?
A man came here from New York. He sent me a telegram. He was coming.
What was his name?
Maxwell Davenport.
Well, he's the art critic of the New York Tribune. Imagine his playing a dirty trick like that. Could I use your phone?
Help yourself.
Is Dr. Haggett in?
Well, yeah, but he's busy right now.
I have an appointment with him. I'm from New York.
Oh, well, won't you come in?
Tell me, are you by any chance the famous Abby?
Does everybody in New York know me? Dr. Haggett, I don't understand it. People I never laid eyes on in my whole life, they come streaming through here and calling me by my first name.
Dr. Haggett,
Yes?
I hope you received my telegram.
You send me a telegram?
Yes, I'm Maxwell Davenport.
Who?
You have a nerve, Davenport.
You pray. May I ask what the devil you were doing here?
Wait a minute. Is he really Maxwell Davenport?
Unfortunately, yes.
But he isn't the same man.
Don't say another word, Dr. Haggett. Wait till we see where we stand.
I might have known you art dealers would be gathering like scavengers.
You may print what you like about me, but don't insult me to my face.
Will somebody please tell me what this is all about?
It's about one of the world's greatest injustices, Dr. Haggett, which I'm doing my small part to set right. You once had for your patient a painter.
Yes. Chris Bean, who died owing me $100, and you've come here to pay it with interest.
No, but I've come to gather details I may find concerning his life here for a critical biography of him that I'm writing. Dr. Haggett, don't tell me that you haven't heard of the sensation his pictures have been having in New York. Haven't you read the current Atlantic Monthly?
I've never read any Atlantic Monthly.
Only now, 10 years after Bean's death, do we realize that he was a great American talent.
Chris Bean?
Christopher Bean, who painted his short life away in poverty.
You mean to tell me that folks are paying big money for his pictures?
Indeed, yes.
As much as $1,000?
Indeed, yes. More like 5,000. As much as 10.
Each?
Of course.
And you offered me $1,000 for the lot.
Dr. Haggett, remember, I wasn't the first, and say no more.
A most generous offer, knowing Mr. Dupre. Apparently, I arrived in the nick of time.
Mr. Davenport, you see in me a desperate man. I guess I never took his pictures seriously enough.
Don't tell me something's happened to them.
I can't answer that question now. If you gentlemen will pardon me, I have a very bad headache.
Certainly. But you let me drop in again later?
What for?
I want to get background and facts on Bean's life here.
Oh, yes, later.
Let me leave this number of Atlantic Monthly with you. You'll find Bean's letters published in it. You'll enjoy reading what he says about you and your family.
Thanks.
Well, goodbye.
Bye.
Now, about the man who was here before me. If you don't remember his real name, what did he look like?
You get out of here.
All right, all right. But don't do anything final till you see me.
Milton, what on earth are you shouting about down here?
If I told you, you'd slit your throat.
Well, you look like you've seen a ghost.
I have. Chris Bean.
Susan, fetch the smelling salts. Will you tell me what this is all about?
Grace, you ought to go down on your knees and beg forgiveness of both me and Susan.
What on earth for?
Those pictures you burned of Chris Bean's were worth $5,000 to $10,000 a piece.
What?
What's the matter? What happened?
I don't believe it.
What?
Here it is.
Where?
Right there. Read it for yourself in the Pacific Monthly.
Christopher Bean, man of genius. Here's something about you, Pa, in a letter to Bert Davis. Dr. Haggett takes conscientious care of me. He knows nothing of medicine but looks like a gargoyle, and that amuses me.
Very funny.
There is an angel of devotion here who is both sister and nurse to me, and more than both. She is the single comfort I have found in my life here, and in her own way, she's beautiful.
Well, I liked the boy, and I encouraged him.
Yes, you did.
Oh, he's not referring to you, Ma. It's Abby. When I go into the fields these chill autumn mornings, she brings me hot coffee to drink.
Our coffee.
Wait a minute. I've just thought of something. Chris painted a picture of Abby.
But it belongs to Abby.
Is Abby capable of knowing what a picture is worth? She's not one of those artist models. She's our hired help, and I'm paying her $30 a month and keep.
She had no right to let him paint her on the time we paid for. That portrait belongs to us.
Hello? Yes? New York? What? How much? 1 minute. Grace, was one of those pictures you burned called The Covered Bridge?
I believe so. Milton, who is that on the phone?
The Metropolitan Museum. Hello. Would you mind repeating your offer to my wife? Thank you. Grace, take this phone.
Milton, please.
Take this phone.
Yes? 15,000.
Susan, the smelling salts. That serves you right.
Oh, Pa.
You did like Christopher Bean, then?
Oh, everybody liked him. I was only a little girl, but I remember. He was so kind and understanding and gentle. Mr. Davenport, I got kind of a big favor to ask of you.
Please do.
You wouldn't say nothing to Pa or Ma if I asked you not to.
I can keep a secret.
Well, you see, Mr. Davenport, you don't know Warren Creamer. Well, we're engaged to be married, but you see, he's an artist, and, well, my parents have no use for artists, and being, well, you know about artists.
Susan, you're a Yankee, too.
What do you mean by that?
That if his pictures don't measure up, you'll think twice before you marry him.
I'd have him anyway. I'd have him if he was the most terrible painter in the world. I love him. I only want to know the truth for my own information.
I see you're the higher type of Yankee.
Oh, you don't understand, Mr. Davenport.
Fearless of both risk and reality.
No, I only want to know whether he should paint pictures or work in his father's hardware store.
Well, let me see one of his pictures.
Here's one. It's just a little one, so it really doesn't do him justice. It's a dead squirrel.
I guess you'd call this a still life.
Oh, Mr. Davenport.
Susan, I don't think it's right for anyone to sit in judgment on anything. I really don't, because no one of us is that wise. For all I know, Warren Creamer might turn out to be another Rembrandt, or another Christopher Bean, let's say. But from what I see here, I don't think so.
No?
No, Susan. You're young, you want to get married. Well, there's no harm in Warren's painting. As a matter of fact, I'd encourage him to paint. But tell him to get a steady job first and to make a living.
Thanks, Mr. Davenport. I see what you mean.
Oh, it seems a shame to use the frame off Mother's picture for this.
Oh, she's been dead so long, I don't think she'd mind. Abby looks too dressed up in it. I think it's ugly.
Well, you won't think the money we get for it's ugly.
She ain't give it to you yet.
She will. Now, we can't take more than one step at a time. I've got it all figured out. Has to be done legitimately. Now, you go on, call her.
Milton, I'm nervous.
You're nervous. If a patient of mine came in right now with an appendix, I'd miss it so far I'd put his eye out. Now, go on, call her.
Abby? Abby, dear?
Don't overdo it now.
Oh, Abby. Abby, I know that I've snapped at you a lot in the time since you've been here, and I want to apologize.
Oh, well, that's all right, Miss Haggis.
Abby, do you notice anything different in this room?
No.
What about that?
Why, Dr. Haggis.
Isn't it fine?
Well, that's my picture.
Wouldn't Chris Bean be proud to see it hanging there?
Sure would. Been nice if you'd put it there while he was still alive.
Certainly looks like you. There's no denying that.
All the time he was painting it, he kept saying to me, Abby, my girl. That's what he always called me. Abby, my girl, this is going to be the greatest painting I ever did. When he got all finished, he thanked me for it. Like I'd done something for him.
Abby, my girl.
Please, Dr. Haggett. He was the only one ever called me that, and I'd like to keep it that way, if you don't mind.
Of course, of course. You know, we have two Abbeys here now. One standing here in flesh and blood, and another one in an oil painting.
Losing one of them's bad enough, but both of them, really.
Now, Abby, now that you're going away, don't you think it'd be nice if you left the oil painting with us as a souvenir?
You mean leave it here for good?
Oh, well, I'm not asking you to do that and make that sacrifice without giving you something in return.
Well, what could you give me in return?
Well, I couldn't give you anything in return that would mean what the portrait would mean to us, but since you're going to Chicago with all those little nieces and nephews, I think $25 might come in very handy.
Oh, make it 50, Milton.
Well, that's very generous.
Then it's all settled.
But I'm so used to looking at myself.
Oh, you can do that in the looking glass.
Oh, it ain't me I see. It's the time when I was young. And I see Chris Bean in the old days and the way things used to be. But if you're really so set on having it...
That's my own dear Abby speaking.
Oh, now, wait. I'd have to think about it. Oh, hello, Mr. Davis.
Hello, Abby.
I'm going upstairs and finish my packing.
Well, you have a nerve.
Why, how dare you show your face in here?
Grace, you leave him to me. You go on upstairs and talk to Abby about what you were talking about.
Oh, but...
Go on upstairs and talk to her. And you, sir, come into my office. I want to talk to you. What are you up to now? You told me your name was Davenport. Abby called you Davis. Who in blazes are you?
My real name is Talent.
Well, Mr. Talent, you know you stole a pile of money from me yesterday?
I'll ask you to be more careful with your language, Dr. Haggett.
What's your opinion of the trick you played on me?
It was a simple business operation, carried through in the classic tradition of art collecting. Not a day passes but some collector comes across some rare and unappreciated work of art.
Did you even know Chris Bean?
Never heard of him until a month ago. Have you ever heard of Cézanne?
Cézanne who?
He was a French painter, died in 1906. I know a dozen excellent Cézannes, all painted in the last year. Look at this. The Hill Pasture by the late Christopher Bean. Careful, Doctor, it's not dry yet. I only finished painting it this morning.
What are you?
I'm offering you a gold mine. You and I can have an absolute corner on Christopher Bean. Unfortunately, most of his originals have been destroyed, but thanks to my peculiar gifts, they're lost, needn't disturb us. I will paint them. You will vouch for them as authentic Christopher Beans.
You think I'd be that dishonest?
Yes.
What's in it for me?
I'm Mr. Davenport.
We want to see him right away.
Well,
You wait here.
I'm in, but he's awful busy.
All right, Grace, I'll handle this. Gentlemen, come into the living room.
At last. Abby. You should thank heaven, Dr. Haggett, that this wasn't destroyed. What tenderness and strength. It's beautiful. Here's all womanhood in her glory. This was his masterpiece, I'm sure.
You consider it his masterpiece?
I do.
I'll give you $7,500 for it.
Not enough.
10,000.
Nope.
Leave this to me, partner. I'll handle this deal.
You shut up, you forger.
Well, Dr. Haggett,
I'm happy to see that Dr. Haggett has your number.
if your illustrious sheet had your number, you'd be out of a job as art critic. Art critic.
Get out of here.
With pleasure.
Cézanne who?
$12,000 is my top price.
Nope.
You finally met your match, Dupree.
How much do you want?
Well, I don't know whether I'm going to sell yet or not, but if I'm going to sell, you've got to make it worth my while. I'll take 20,000.
Why, you're crazy.
Take it or leave it.
15. Half of it down on the balance tomorrow.
17 on the same terms.
Done.
Where's the money?
Oh, good heavens, man. Give me time. I had this ready. Sign it, Dr. Haggett.
Yes, but how do I know I'll get the balance tomorrow?
It's all in writing.
All right, well, now that that's settled, I want you to get the painting out of here just as soon as possible.
We'll send a man over tomorrow.
No, not tomorrow, today, now.
But why?
Take it now or the deal's off.
Very well, very well.
Abby, you are a headstrong, silly girl.
I don't care. It's mine, and I want it now. What's he doing with my picture?
I've bought it, and I'm taking it to New York to exhibit it, Abby.
Well, you can't take it away from here. It belongs to me.
How's that?
Why, Abby, what's come over you? I thought we had an understanding.
I've made up my mind definitely. I want my picture. You said you wanted it to remember me by, and I said I'd think it over. Well, I've thought it over, and I ain't never gonna part with it. You trying to sell it behind my back, I'd be ashamed.
Why, Abby.
I'd be ashamed of all the mean, underhanded tricks.
Abby, this house and everything in it is mine. You are the hired help.
My picture ain't yours.
You ain't showing much gratitude, Abby, for all we've done for you all these years.
People like you have an appreciation of such things.
Look here, Dr. Haggett.
You keep out of this.
Ain't none of your business.
My picture is all I got in the world. I ain't ashamed to say it now, 'cause it was a long time ago, but I loved Chris Bean. I still love him. He died right after he finished painting that picture, so it's the last thing he ever painted. That's why it means so much to me. It means all the happiness I've ever known. And that ain't been much, and you know it.
But it doesn't belong to you. I paid for the time you wasted sitting for Chris Bean to paint it when you should have been working.
That's not true. I worked every minute, peeling and polishing and darning. I was working every minute while he was painting that picture. I remember still us out there sitting in the barn and me working and him painting and the hours just flying by.
You used to give him our coffee to drink.
That was my own breakfast coffee that I saved and took out to him. The only present I could ever give him. The only thing I ever had to offer him.
Look, Abby, honesty is the best policy, after all, I guess. Mr. Dupre wants your portrait, and he will pay $17,000.
What?
$17,000?
Now, don't faint again, Grace. I haven't time to pick you up. Abby, I will give you half.
I wouldn't take $1 million for it. Oh, poor Chris. He died so poor. No warm place to sleep, no warm clothes to wear except that old sweater I knitted him. Every spring I used to pray for an early thaw just for his sake. Oh, why does a man have to die so poor when he can paint a picture that's worth so much money?
Unfortunately, nobody had any use for his paintings while he was alive.
Well, I always liked them. That's why I saved so many.
Saved so many?
Yeah, I saved them.
Where'd you get him?
Well, Mrs. Haggett put them on the bonfire, and I took them off.
You did?
Where are they now?
In my suitcase, and they're going right along with me.
How many?
17.
17?
17 authentic Christopher Beans?
Well, they'll bring us a fortune.
Abby, you can have your portrait, but the other 17 belong to us.
But Mrs. Haggett burned them, or she thought she did. What if I hadn't taken them off the fire?
That's neither here nor there. The point is, they weren't burned, so they belong to us.
Oh, for goodness sake, I'm tired of arguing. Just so I got my picture back, that's all that matters.
Let me help you, Abby.
Thank you. Be careful. I'll get them for you.
We're rich, Grace, rich.
Looks like we must be, but it kind of gets my stomach.
Here.
Now, Mr. Dupre, now I can talk business with you.
Well, Dr. Haggett, I never expected any such deal as this.
You're a very fortunate man.
Yes, but before we start talking business, I must know if you really are the rightful owner this time.
Well, who would be if we are not?
Weren't they left for an unpaid bill?
Yes, Dupre, I expect they do belong to him.
1, 2, 3,
I got to go now, if I want to catch my train.
3,
Goodbye.
4,
I've never encountered anything as big as this.
5.
Goodbye, Dr. Haggett.
Imagine a corner in Christopher Beans.
8.
Now, don't say nothing, Ma. Warren's only come to help Abby with her trunk.
Now, Warren, let bygones be bygones. Come right in. I've kind of changed my mind about artists lately.
Well, so have I, Mrs. Haggett. I'm giving up my painting. I want to work in Pa's hardware store.
Oh, you do no such thing. We're rich now. You can continue with your art, and Susan will be your inspiration.
Oh, Ma.
Are you all right, Mrs. Haggett?
Of course I am, son.
Your trunk ready, Abby?
Yeah, you can go upstairs and get it.
Sure, Abby.
Abby, may I have one word with you? A work of art like that is a responsibility. The whole world should be able to see it. You owe this gesture to Christopher Bean. You should share all the beauty he left behind.
I'd like to do that. I'll think real serious about it.
Abby, may I ask a favor of you? When you get to Chicago, why don't you let the Chicago Art Institute show your portrait? You could see it every day. I know that it's more than just a work of art to you. I know there must have been a great and strong bond between you and Christopher Bean at the time that he painted it, but nevertheless...
He was the only man that ever asked me to marry him.
That's wonderful, Abby, and you should have.
I did.
Then, Abby, you're his widow.
Can you prove it?
Well, I got my license right here in my bag. And here's my wedding ring.
And you never told anyone.
Why, how could you have been so two-faced?
There's no point in continuing this discussion, Dr. and Mrs. Haggett. The fact is that all of Christopher Bean's works belong to her. To Mrs. Christopher Bean.
He's the only other one ever called me that. Mrs. Christopher Bean.
Is that really you, Aunt Debbie?
Sure is.